Hello and welcome back. Well, a lot of things just happened, but hey, we're gonna get a new car! That is definitely the most upbeat music I've ever heard in this environment. And free healing. That's an interesting way to put it, actually. Though, considering where Rika grew up, that's not too surprising. Yep. What Zio is doing is extremely deliberate and fairly intelligent, which is planting the castle on top of the one thing that can stop the planet from breaking down. This indicates that the thing possessing Zio is also very intelligent, even though it never speaks. And malicious, but, you know, they don't call it Dark Force for nothing. You don't even know what Dark Force is, although in fairness, at this point, nobody in Algo knows quite what Dark Force is. We got a tank! The game goes out of its way to make using a vehicle lots of fun. You can hear the music, it's really bouncy and upbeat, and you get this new battle interface with its own upbeat music. I mean, we've got lots of dark and sinister things happen, one of our party members is dying, but this car goes vroom and boom, and it's great. I can't tell you how blown away I was when I first played this game and got to the vehicle section of it. I can't think of any contemporary games that did anything like this. Your structure points recover between battles. The enemies are pretty easy to deal with. The only drawback is that you don't get very much for winning the battles, but hey, it saves your resources, so why not? And you can go where the plot wants you to go. And we can run over towns. Just kidding. Now this person is not especially talking about how obscure and out of the way the town is. It's the other problems, like being isolated by a huge field of quicksand. What gets me is no one asks you how you got here. Well, maybe they saw you drive in, but in that case they probably have something to say about that huge tractor tank thing. But most of the talk in this town is not about the huge field of quicksand that's swallowing everything up, which gives you an idea of how bad the earthquakes are. This is not a great time to be alive. Okay, there is one person talking about it at least, who I've already talked to because I'm a little compulsive about pressing the A button whenever there's a person around. We'll just have to go there and find out, although our success rate of finding healthy towns after someone asks if they're okay is not so great. Yeah, that's a very legitimate fear, considering that it might be tough to get more materials to make new houses, given the situation of the town. How? Well, actually, I happen to know how. It was that they left before the quicksand got really bad. And there was some bad blood, too. It's just the constant little details on how people interact with each other that make me enjoy the town sections a lot. Oh yeah, we got probably one of the most blatant callbacks we've seen so far, although there will be even bigger ones later, I promise. Yeah, I can see from... oh, yeah, well, there's that big fissure below, but just in case that wasn't a big enough clue... I feel like this is a little bit odd. Earthquakes are terrifying and they kill people. I think it's pretty reasonable to be afraid of them. Especially apparently the really big ones happening in this town. Why is there a tectonic plate management system? I've been to Motavia in previous games, and there was no need for something like that. There were no tectonic problems that needed management, and now that we have management, it's gone all messy, and now it's causing this. Although, it is a little bit consistent, because the whole point of, the system back in Phantasy Star 2 was that it was getting a little bit too all-encompassing and overbearing. Or maybe a lot too all-encompassing and overbearing. Also, when that mom was talking, I was thinking, oh, come on, kids know not to jump into that really dangerous hole in the ground. But then the kid was saying, hey, maybe something fun will happen if I do that. And yeah, okay, never mind, kids are stupid. Well, let's go to the next optional dungeon. Yep, just in case the video title didn't inform you, this is a filler episode. And I live in terror of filler episodes because the whole point of this series is to talk about all of the interesting things that happen in this plot and the way it interacts with the plots of previous games. And this dungeon is kind of a lot of nothing. Although there are a couple of things I can note. For example, the laser weapons that I picked up are going to be very handy here because we're going to see more robots that resist physical damage, but laser weapons don't care about that. Well, I should say physical type damage because the physical defense stats still work. It's just this flat damage multiplier thing. Well, in this case the multiplier is 50%. Video game mechanics. They're not as complicated as I make them sound by failing to explain them in a smooth way, I promise. Well, how Demi works. Androids have some perks and some drawbacks. One of the perks is that they regenerate 1 hit point per step on the field. And this is the point of the game where it is strong at its very strongest, because of course things scale up in the game and later on 1 hit point per tile is not going to be a huge deal. Also, when KO'd, androids recover at 1 health. The drawback is techniques and items that heal androids do not work on them, which I believe I mentioned in the last video. However, they have more than just their own passive recovery to help fix themselves up. We'll see that in action in due time. You also may have noticed that Demi's attack is not very strong. Her gun is a normal force physical type weapon, but she did have a very handy instant death skill, Spark, which I believe you saw earlier. It works only against robots, but that's okay because robots are the enemy type that often most needs insta-kill techniques to get rid of them because of their resistances to other things. Also, that last fight where we saw 4 enemies in a row, that kind of stuck the knife into something, which is we have Alice and Han in various states of not being able to do anything. They're not here, and thus we have no combination attacks in our party anymore. That hurts a lot. That hurts a great deal. Of course, that's not going to be a permanent situation, but whew. Especially against these robots, I miss Tri-Blaster. There are going to be some Biomonster encounters later where I will miss Lethal Image, certainly. And Blizzard. I gotta say, that's a phrase I use a little bit too much. I'm really feeling it in this dungeon. But hey, I guess maybe we had things a little bit too easy in Zyos for it. And we're also starting to get to some of the scarier robot designs. In my estimation, they aren't quite as menacing as their art and behavior in Phantasy Star 2, but that's just artistic taste. I think the artist did a really good job in this game. And this is the main reason we came here. There are other very useful things to be found in treasure chests, but this is the big one. I don't have very good feelings about that explosion sound effect while Demi was installing that, but hey. Androids do not learn skills by leveling up. They learn skills by finding parts that they install. And since androids are going to be part of the party for most of the game, it's very, very important that we make sure to explore everywhere, including every optional dungeon we can find. We do not want to miss out on skills. No, no. Now, since it's been a while since I played this game last, I'm not completely familiar with all the dungeon layouts, hence there's some backtracking. And I got a lot careless about Rika's health, and that happened. Fortunately, we're not quite in as bad a situation as we were a couple of dungeons ago. That's because Demi has medic power. It's not perfect. It only has 1 use per dungeon, but it's certainly better than not having it. And if we ran into a disaster, hey, full party resurrection, it's not bad. What else to say about androids? They tend to have very good physical defense and bad magic defense. And they have a different kind of armor from the rest. and most of it, if not all of it, has to be found in technological dungeons like this. Now, I was a little confused by this, because there's 2 treasure chests right next to each other with 2 pieces of armor, so they can't both be for the same character, right? But no. Turns out that only Demi can equip either of those. Don't ask me, I didn't design this. That is a fairly intimidating one, even though it doesn't actually do anything special. It just punches or robot claws, whatever they do with their normal attack animation. The loader robots are more difficult to deal with because they have that laser cannon. The end of encounter music is fairly unique as well. Even among its own series, when you get a victory, it's a longer, slower, upbeat thing, but in Phantasy Star 4, it's like, you won! Move on! And that, I guess it fits really well with the entire battle system's philosophy of doing things fast so that you don't get bogged down. That doesn't seem like an amazing attack, but Phonon is, along with her gun, a physical type skill. And most of the stuff in here resists it. But later on we're going to be fighting lots of encounters that don't take 50% damage from physical, and against that, Phonon is going to clear out some stuff. Once or twice, because she doesn't get to use it too often. But still better than nothing. And hey, looks pretty cool. More laser gear. Well, we don't need a laser knife. There's no one in our party who would do better with a knife than what they're currently using. So I don't quite get it. I know technically you can have Chaz dual-wield knives, but why? That crosscut made me wonder if I was actually wrong about my guess on how skills worked. Because I don't think that Chaz is strong enough to deal 300-something damage with crosscut. So there's more nuance than I thought there was. There are some skills that use the element of whatever weapon you're using, and there are some that provide their own element that overwrites your weapon. Well, live and learn. Right, which way did I go? Oh, okay, that's good. It's also slightly odd that the android is the only character in our party who does not have a laser weapon. That's a reversal I would not have seen coming. Stun Shot is a nice upgrade for Demi. Aside from doing more damage, it has a chance to, well, stun organic enemies. Still doesn't count as a laser weapon, though. It's purely physical. Just taking a look at some item descriptions, because I often forget that sort of thing. I didn't mean to look at it twice, I promise. Feel the excitement of menu action. I don't think that's what an air rifle actually is, but you don't have to worry about ammo, so there's that. Yeah, it was pretty strongly established earlier that dealing with Nervous is the next step that has to happen, and this is just a kind of not very impactful side quest. I don't mind that the game reminds you of it, because there are some people who kind of have to be reminded of things from time to time. I'm one of these people. And oh, I don't know how long we are walking from the plate system back here, but apparently everyone noticed that there haven't been earthquakes. We were not away that long. They must have been going off non-stop. What's weird is that this shop's prices for the player characters are the same before and after the earthquakes. Maybe the player character price for shopkeepers is the gouging price for everyone else. That'd be pretty funny to me. Well, even though it doesn't solve a serious plot problem, we did get some nice gear. And I don't mind getting another laser shield because, unlike a laser knife, there may be situations where putting a shield on Rika and having her just be a full-time healer is not a bad idea. Well, let's move on. We got into town, then we went to a dungeon, so next one is probably going to be a town again. Yeah, I don't think those monsters are going to catch up with this thing. Well, hello. I think we've done plenty. We've gone through another step in the story. Thanks for bearing with me. I promise that the next video will be more central to the overall plot. See you then!